wrap up, we were talking about, in part one, the different triggers that can happen to us, and I was talking about Pete Sapper over at Empath Uprising and how much I had learned from him and his teachings, and the tribe over there, what they're putting out. As far as I mentioned how he teaches a lot about covert narcissism, and sometimes we call it the covert snake, because they are sneaky, they can be cowardly, it's a huge study, they get into your life, it's a whole different type of narcissism that people don't see, they're not aware of, it's just not what you would think of as a narcissist. It's very complex how they operate in your life and in this world. So, and I mentioned to you in part one how Pete said something this morning that really made me think, you know, how I get all wrapped up, and a lot of us do. He was talking about himself as well, you know, in talking about the covert narcissist, the covert snake. Oftentimes when we do that, yes, we may be a whole different person now. We may not be anything like them. And yes, there's a line there. If you're partnered up with someone and if you're partnered up with a covert narcissist, sooner or later, you're going to start seeing it. You're going to find out. A lot of times people don't even know it at first. They can't even wrap their mind around, what is this person doing? What are all these weird defense mechanisms and lies and manipulations and gaslighting? And you start sensing a detachment on them, no remorse, no empathy for your feelings. You start picking up on a lot of that with covert narcissism. It's different than other, like the grandiose narc that you know is a narcissist. You know, they're just stomping around the damn world taking what they want and in your face about it, telling you, hey, I don't give a damn. You know, usually that's how that comes across. But anyway, so I talk a lot about covert narcissism because I've lived with it. I have been in the damn position to not know, to not be aware, to not be educated on it, but have it happen to me, have it get into my life. And it has happened 2 or 3 times in several different situations, in a roommate situation and a partnership, okay? Wrapping my mind around it took me many years. I'm not even playing. I've had to research and study. And generally, you won't even know a person is covert narcissistic until you live with them. You have to live with them, basically, 24/7 for a long while to even pick up on the fact that they're like this, because they hide it in public. They are the charmers. They wear the mask. They are charming and sweet, and they charm you, and they are also under the guise of, poor pitiful me. Could you just feel sorry for me? I'm just a sweet little precious person. I've been done so wrong. Nobody cares. Nobody loves me. They work their way into your damn life like that. And if you hear a person continuing on like that all the time in that victim mentality and self-pity, boom, alarm bells should go off in you, because that's how they get in, man. Anyway, that's their mask. A healthy person doesn't speak like that. A healthy person who is working on their emotional intelligence, working on their issues from the past, facing down life challenges, facing themselves, they don't speak like that. They don't walk around in a cloud of self-pity all the time. And these covert narcissists literally have a crowd of worshipers. They call them flying monkeys. It's called, the terms in the literature, flying monkeys and backup supplies. And these are the people that will jump to the narcissist's defense. These are the people that when you and the narcissist get in a fight because they've abused you, they've taken you, your time, your energy, your money, extorted everything they could from you as a human being. And when you finally stand up to them and set a boundary, these people are the ones they're going to run to. The flying monkeys, the backup people, the backup supply. Usually they keep members of the opposite sex on hand. You will immediately see them run to those people, and they will usually choose people that are very either lower self-esteem than they are, very insecure people that might be addicts, people that are easy to manipulate, either people in their past that, wanted to date them or thinks those people still think they have a chance with that narcissistic person, and they kind of keep those people on file in the background so that when their partner stands up to them and doesn't want to tolerate those qualities and being abused by the narcissist, then they will run to those people, and those people unknowingly, they're worse than the damn narc. Unknowingly, they will defend the narc, and they will attack you. That's right. The narc will triangulate. And I've had it happen. Triangulate, go outside the relationship, bring someone in, a flying monkey or a backup person, that they can easily use, manipulate, get pity from, and they'll have that damn backup person attacking you, running the smear campaign. You're a terrible partner, you're crazy, you're abusive, all of the things the narcissist has been doing to you. The narcissist and his backup supply, flying monkey, whatever the hell they are, they will begin that attack. That's what the narcissist uses them for. And they don't even know it. They don't even know they're being used as pawns in a game. They think they're special. They think that, oh, he or she is calling me. I must be special. They're going behind their partner's back and calling me. And they want my advice. And they come charging in, you know. It's all a fucking game. And they don't even realize the only reason they're being chosen and called upon is because they're dumb as shit. I'm sorry, but that's, you know, I've been through it with too many of them. I've had too many flying monkeys, backup girls, and people that had no business in my relationship triangulated in, people with low self-esteem, codependency issues, all kinds of crap that are being used by a person to attack me, to being used and manipulated by a person to think I'm the bad one. And all the while, the narcissist is, putting such a pity trip on them and just really working their mind over, okay? And they don't even know that they're being used in that game. They should be able to tell, because I've seen it happen with my own eyes. When the narcissistic person is done with whatever he needs from them, when they've either jumped into his defense, they've either given him time, emotional support, energy, money, whatever. A lot of these narcissistic people go out and use them for sex, a place to stay, drugs and alcohol, whatever the fuck the narcissistic need is, that their partner is standing up and saying, no, I have more self-respect than that. I will not participate in that anymore. You need to respect that boundary, and you need to get some help, person. You know, when their partner is finally putting down these boundaries, they will go out and use these people up, and then all of a sudden, they're done with them. They throw them away like trash again. I've literally seen it happen with my own eyes. When their partner either calms down and says, okay, I forgive you, and they swallow it down again and get back into the cycle with the narcissist, obeying the narcissist basically. I mean, it's just so soul draining, and it takes so much of your self-respect away, but I've been there. Anyway, when they make up with their partner again, that backup plan, that flying monkey, that extra narcissistic supply they use, boom, gone like trash. I've seen it happen. Delete, block, like they didn't even fucking exist. They will literally get real close to them for a minute and then wipe out their existence like they are garbage. I've seen it. So people need to wake up. If you have somebody calling on you constantly, we'll get into that later on the channel. If you have someone calling on you constantly every once in a while just to get emotional support, money, resources, and you hear the same old story from them year after year after year. I love you. I miss you. My wife, my partner is just so terrible. She's always telling me and she won't blah, blah. She threw me out or she left me. If you're hearing a motherfucker do that, yeah, I said it. If you're getting that, then you're the fool. You're the fool. Hang up the phone. Do not give them any of your pity. Do not give them your time and energy. Do not give them your resources. And please know that when they're finished with you, it's all a game. As soon as that partner lets them come back home, or as soon as the one they really are with, their main source of supply, and we're going to get into that later too. I'd like to believe that there is some type of love there with these people, and it's not just a source of supply, but they have a primary source of supply that is a top grade, high value person that's there for them and does all these things. And then they have their secondary and backup supplies that usually aren't as high quality, highly driven as their primary source of supply. So they dump them more easily to go back to the primary supply. Anyway, if you're being called on like that and you start to hear that same old shit, please know that you're just being used as a pawn in a game, and you should be able to recognize it and look into your own self-esteem. Look into what's going on with you that you would keep letting that person call you to use you for that. Hell no. Click. Hang that damn phone up, because they're going to go back to their wife, their husband, their partner, their main source of supply as soon as they're forgiven or as soon as they make up with that person. Your ass is trash. Have you noticed that? Anyone out there can relate to that? Just, they're gone. They don't talk to you anymore. You're deleted, blocked. You didn't even exist. That's right. Okay, so that's that cycle. Anyway, let me wrap up with where we were in part 1. I talked about Pete Sapper over at Empath Uprising and how when we do start mentioning covert narcissism, not only is it legitimate from my perspective, it's legitimate in my life because I've had the damn experiences with people, yada, yada, yada. And if I'm in close proximity to them, I expect a certain amount of respect, man. I expect you to take that covert narcissism and go get you some help. Go on to the therapist. Go do something with it, okay? But you're not going to put it on me. So that is why I do get bitchy about it and I do confront it. And then eventually I have to remove myself from that situation. Absolutely. There's no way to go round and round with a narcissist most of the time. You have to remove yourself from it. But what he also said is when we trigger off like that, we are also remembering a time. This is why we shouldn't judge. We shouldn't attach onto them and only focus on what they're doing, how they need to change, judging them, all of that crap. Because what we're doing is we're also remembering our lower self. When we fixate on the covert narcissist snake, we are remembering a time when we were the snake. That's right. And there's not many people out there that can't say at one time or another in their life they've made that mistake. They had a certain character to their personality where they had an attitude or did something wrong or perhaps lied to someone or manipulated. You know, even the best people. So, especially those of us who were raised in trauma, abuse, dysfunction, all that programming. Hell, I know I was number 1 narcissist on the block. I won't even lie. Now, I can't say I was really covert about it, but I explained in part 1 how it went down for me. And hell no, I didn't hide it. With certain people, I was just like, hey, I need what I need. Give me what the fuck I want. I don't care what you think. Give it to me now. I didn't have a lot of regard for certain people's feelings or how it was going to affect them in their life. I had also a deep inner hatred. You know, I will get into that later on the channel about what came with me from childhood into my early 20s. That pathological envy that they discuss in covert narcissism, some of that existed in me in my early 20s. That hatred for other people that were happy, that were normal, you know, and I didn't act out on them too much, but I had some of that in me. And then I talked about in part 1 how I got closer to 30 and I started really kicking down on my therapy, my spiritual work, and I started really seeing myself for who I was. And I wanted that out of me. I knew it was wrong, and I knew it's not the type of person I wanted to be, and I didn't want to carry that any longer. So I started evolving my empathy more, my sense of self-awareness more, my emotional intelligence more, and caring for the well-being of others a lot more, and feeling for others more deeply. You know, we have to watch that balance out. So yes, it does make us think back to a time where we were the fucking snake. We did all that. We played all those games. You know, in my early life, every game the covert narc is running, I played it. I had some similar thoughts as to what is beating down in their brain right now. I'm not good enough. I'm insecure. I don't like that person. Look at what they have. Why don't I have that? Okay, I was that person. And then mine grew worse. I became very grandiose with my narcissism. Just, damn. Just in your face, fucking demanding. Let's go. I want what I want. But a lot of those thought patterns, insecurities, inferiorities that come with the covert narcissism, I had every one of those in early life and for a long time. And I played out a lot of those things as far as, getting into a relationship but feeling so insecure about it that I would have to keep my mind on several different other people at a time and never fully be all the way emotionally present with the relationship I was in sometimes. I would have to keep my mind playing games and out there in the world still looking around. And there's all kinds of games that people who have deep-rooted insecurities and inferiority complexes play. And when they have types of narcissism, they keep a part of themselves secret in fantasy all the time, not ever really fully connected to you, not ever really fully emotionally there with you. That's right. And so when he said that, boom, it reminded me. It's so true. So I'm going to be mindful of when I speak of the covert narcissist. Yes, a lot of times that disdain and that anger I feel towards them, that disgust with their behavior, I'm remembering how disgusted I was with myself at one point. And I remember that turning point. I remember the exact age and how I felt. And I'm just so thankful that I was able to commit myself to learning about it and growing. And, I'm an open book. I'm saying that there are still times where I may trigger off and slip back into a characteristic that I'm not proud of, that I don't like. And I'm an eternal student, and I'm always working on it and trying to stay aware of it. But I'm not perfect. I can pull on my narcissist any day. That's just that. But what I try to do is use any narcissistic tendencies for good. I really try to stay aware and use that attitude for good things, because I do care very deeply about others. And there's so much education people need on this. Just because they see an outspoken attitude that's fierce in their face talking, and they're confident and doing the damn thing, so many people get triggered by that. Oh my God, that's a narcissist. I don't like them. Look at that attitude. You can just tell they're narcissistic. Please educate yourself on the deep, dark roots of narcissism in psychology and how damaging and evil a lot of it can really be, and how deep-rooted into the psyche it really is, how far back it goes with these people. Don't just spout off, but a lot of people do. They get triggered by a confident person because if you're getting triggered by someone else's confidence, I guarantee you've got some issues. If someone else's confidence makes you that uncomfortable, I don't like them. Now, we all get a little intimidated from time to time. Sure, that's fine. But if someone else's confidence and outspokenness and the truthfulness about them, straightforward, confident, doing the damn thing, fierce, just that persona, if that triggers you into, ooh, I don't like them. They're terrible people. They're narcissistic. There's something about them I just don't like. You might want to look into yourself, okay? I promise you. Whatever it is you're getting triggered, just like Pete said this morning, exactly right. Now, confident people don't trigger me. That's not the problem with me. It's that covert snake, okay? And I haven't been like that in years. In fact, I never really was covert and snake-like. But then again, I never really tried to hide my narcissistic tendencies. But then again, in order to survive as a young person and run cons on people, in the streets and whatever, and get my needs met, I did have to be a snake. That's right. I had to be the sweet little face, the sweet little girl, innocent, whatever. But honey, when I get in there, I'm finna rob you blind. Yeah, I had to be that person in my early life. That's right. And so, yeah, I guess over the years it was a mixture of covert and grandiose. There's also a malignant narcissism that I'm studying a little bit more on. But yeah, I guess there were times where, depending on what my needs were, I could slide in and out of the mask of covert and be the snake. And also, whenever I needed to be, or when I felt comfortable being, I could be the grandiose narc. There were times, yeah, I guess I did slide in and out of both. And there's been several people in my life that I've noticed that on. And I guess when I get confronted with them, not only is it because in this day and age, in this reality, current reality, I don't want that in my life and I don't want to be treated that way. I don't want to interact with such a person. But it's also because I'm triggering off and remembering who I was. I've been there. I've done it. It was cowardly. It was manipulative. It's just because, yes, I can remember all those years and what my early caretakers did to me and how wrong and sick it all was. And then how I developed those characteristics and how wrong and sick that was and how I started to work. So yes, he was exactly right. And I can admit that. But I can also say I'm a completely and totally different person today, And I also wanted to mention before I go, and this will wrap up our little topic on triggers and covert narcissism and, sort of reflecting it back to ourselves. I mentioned spiritual whistleblower and live abuse free. Now, I already explained about live abuse free in the Watts case and covert narcissism. Spiritual whistleblower is a really cool chick, y'all. And I didn't get to say enough about her. I brought her up in part 1. But she, on her channel, talks a lot about toxic childhood issues, holding your toxic parents accountable, triggers. She talks about a lot of shit. I love how she puts it down, y'all. And there was one segment that she did at the end of last year, I found, and she literally said, from her feeling and her experience, what had happened to her, and studying it and putting it all together, the covert narcissist, most of them, she said they want you dead. And when she said that, I was like, damn. And she talked about good versus evil, the spiritual war that goes on in our reality. And I'm not trying to get flaky on y'all, but I don't give a damn. I do believe very much there are very dark entities and energies that can get into us and get into the people we love and care about and work through them. And any light, God source, anything good that they sense, that those energies sense, they're coming after your ass. They're coming to take you out and take you down and silence you. However they have to do it. If they have to get into a loved one that's weakened, that's addicted, that's depressed and weak, with that creates an open portal right there. There'll be another video coming up on my channel about that. However they have to get into a person to work through them to get to you, to get to the person who is the light worker, who is struggling to be aware and go towards the light and be more open and face their issues. Those dark energies are going to do whatever they have to do to get to your ass. And I believe that. So anyway, spiritual whistleblower brought that up. And she said in her experience, it really felt like the covert narcissist in her life wanted her as dead. That it was an evil energy that got in, and was able to work through her partner. And she's like, they are never done with you as far as the level of torment and extortion and what they want to put on you. Most of them do not go as far as Chris Watts and murder people, but some of them do. And I believe it's all relevant to psychology, childhood patterns, abuses, unmet needs, and yes, on the flip side, also dark energies and entities that can take hold of a person. Absolutely. I believe it's all relevant. And when she said that, man, I got chills because I thought, wow, that's really what it felt like. That's really what it felt like to me. And if they are a covert narcissist that, and I told you in part 1, like I had, sometimes people have some empathy, some remorse. They're not going to slap their grandma or hurt their kids or pets or animals. They have a certain level of respect and empathy for some people, but then when they get home with their partner behind closed doors, that is their target. They tear that person up. They treat them so disrespectfully, not a drop of empathy for them, no remorse in what they do to them. That's kind of how it works with the covert narcs. They have some empathy, which fools people into thinking, but then behind closed doors, you don't even want to know what comes out of these people. Okay, so, when you run across a person that's kind of half and half like that, okay, for the most part, you understand that they're not going to physically murder you or physically beat you, but the emotional and spiritual and mental, psychological attack that they put on you and just ravage you from every direction and extort you and attach to you like a literal parasite, sucking every bit of your life force, a constant entanglement and an attack. Study up on it. By the time they are done with you, if you can't put a stop to it or see what's going on, by the time you are out of that situation, you literally feel like a shell of a human being. You feel like you have been spiritually and emotionally murdered. Just death. And that's true. And when she said that, I put all that together and I remembered that that's what it felt like. It literally felt like this person who was supposed to love me, respect me, care about me, be my friend as much as I was with them, did not feel that way for me. And that somewhere deep in the recesses of their mind, in the back of their mind, there was this thing in them where they wanted to emotionally, spiritually murder me. A hatred, a contempt, a pathological envy of my light, my success, my anything that wasn't including attention on them 24/7, serving them 24/7, obeying them 24/7. We'll get into all that later. So she was right. And boy, when you think about it, some of them take it beyond spiritual and emotional murder. And they just keep on coming after you after you're gone, hoover you back in, trick you back in to put some more on you, to extort some more of your energy, live on it like a parasite while they've moved on to other ones too. And some of them, when they catch up with the people that left them, they do kill them. That's right, they do end up murdering them and finishing them off all the way, depending on what level, spectrum, what part of the spectrum their level of narcissism has gone to, and what other disorders or pathologies or whatever might be going on with those individuals. So, things to be highly aware of, you guys. Inform yourself. But yeah, she was right about that. When a narcissistic person is done with you, it does feel like you have been murdered in almost every way imaginable, and just barely escaped with your life. And it even eats hell. You almost end up, like she mentioned, if they don't kill you physically, you end up with tumors and sickness, heart problems. I started developing a heart issue. Really wasn't a heart problem. I'll talk about that later on. Your stress goes up. Eventually, it will be more than an emotional and spiritual murder. Eventually, you will become very sick, very ill, very eaten up, worn out physically, and you could die. I mean, honestly, stress can kill. And I had a doctor the other day tell me, you can die from a broken heart. Yep. And so, just be aware of those things. And a lot of people, after living with a covert narcissist and not enough awareness or education on what was happening to them, I have heard of a lot of cases of suicide. Literally. After getting away from the madness that is a covert narcissist, a lot of people do commit suicide. They just don't understand what happened or what they did. This is how bad betrayal is with a covert narcissist. How dark and deep and twisting and tangling. The only person that knows it is their partner behind closed doors. And they so easily fool everyone else. And so the partner is made to look crazy. We'll get into all that later on, okay, guys? All right, so be aware of these things. And this talking about the triggers and what we see in ourselves and covert narcissism, and we'll talk more about all this stuff later. Thank you for joining me.